Welcome back to another episode of Fully Stoked Podcast. I am your hostess, one of them, Sarah Stokes. Cody is not with us today because I am interviewing another one of my good friends, Fernanda. Say your last name for me, Brasileiro.
Brasileiro, yes. Good job.
Brasileiro. Well, I'm not a language enthusiast as Fernanda is. I speak one language. Now, I can get by in Mexico, okay? I did take some high school classes. Anyway, Fernanda's amazing. We were just talking a little bit before we started filming, and she actually speaks 5 languages. Not 1 or 2, but 5. So what are they again, Fernanda?
So Portuguese is my first language, and then English is my second, and French is my third, Spanish is my fourth, and Italian is my more recent fifth that I added on the last 3 years.
So I heard the more languages you learn, the easier it is to learn more languages. Is that true?
I think so. I believe so, and especially if they're similar, like the ones
Yes.
that I know are all, except for English is the most difficult one of those others because I already had the Portuguese
Hmm.
foundation. So the other four, the other three that are similar to Portuguese were fairly easy to learn.
And those are they Romance languages? Latin? What are
Yeah,
they?
yeah, they're part of the Romance languages. And I think I understand that the other one that I haven't learned, there's two more that maybe are part of that too. I'm not 100%, but like Romanian is one of
Oh,
them. And maybe
oh,
some of the ones in Spain, like the, you know how Spain has a bunch of
oh,
languages.
right, right, right.
So
Wow.
those will be my next ones.
Okay, well, that's exciting. I bet you're fun
Yeah.
to travel with.
Yeah, it's fun. I love it. Part of the language piece for me is in connection, which I know we're gonna talk about in a
We
little bit.
are, we are.
And
I got sidetracked. So let me
yeah,
introduce
go
Fernanda and I met. I think we've met several times and we definitely cross paths often. But the first time I think we met was possibly at the Rhino Market at an event there with the Unscripted Women's Network. I just love networking groups and women's groups because it's more than just work. It really is. It's relationship building, which is exactly what Fernanda does. So without further ado, let me reintroduce myself. I'm Sarah Stokes. I am a senior mortgage loan advisor with Coast to Coast Mortgage Lending. That's what I do during the day, but I absolutely love connecting people. I love relationships, and that's what I'm doing here with this podcast. Cody can't be with us because when I interview friends like Fernanda, it's just it makes a little more sense because she's part of my women's group, right? But it's just me. But Fernanda also created an organization called Filled Cups. She's going to tell us all about it, but it's based on relationships as well. And I just love the mission behind it. So without further ado, Fernanda, please welcome first and please tell us about Filled Cups.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for having me. I'm super happy to be in this podcast. And I love your women's unscripted networking group. I've met some really great people there, and I continue to be a fan and a cheerleader for your group. My name is Fernanda. I had about 23 years in corporate America, and towards the last many years of those 23, I was feeling like something was missing from my career. I was feeling burnt out. I was feeling like it was lacking meaning for me. And so in 2024, I decided to start another entrepreneurial venture. And I took a very quick entrepreneurial course, which taught me to look for the things in myself that I could leverage, things that I was good at, things that I enjoyed doing, and the resources around me, and then take those things, and if I can solve a social problem, that would be my new business idea. And that's how I came up with Filled Cups, because I did a little inventory of my life and I'm like, okay, I'm a social butterfly, love hosting parties, love connecting people. I love connecting people to resources and sharing information. And a big social problem that comes up a lot. I don't know if, for me at least, it does in the literature that I read, a lot of the content that I consume, it points to the social problem of the loneliness epidemic. And a lot of people resonate with this when I mention it. People, um, especially since social media and since the pandemic, people have become more and more isolated. There's a lot more loneliness, unfortunately. And a lot of folks who maybe before the pandemic would have been out more, meeting people, going out with friends, hanging out with friends, are now going through an introversion phase. And nothing against introverts. Like I love my introverts, love them, but there's a balance to everything, right? Like even introverts want to have one-on-one connection, want to have friendships. And so I started Filled Cups with the vision to tackle that problem. And one of the ways I want to tackle that problem is with in-person events, which I've been hosting in Charlotte since November of 2014. I'm sorry, 2024.
Yeah.
I'm just I'm losing
Well,
track of time. I'm losing time is like so crazy. But
it is. It seems faster. Anyway, yes, yes.
yeah, it's the year just flew by. But basically I started in November 2024 with a friend event. And since then I've hosted quite a few. Like on a monthly basis, I host about 2 to 3 events on a monthly
Oh my
basis.
gosh, I had no idea it was 2 to 3.
Yeah,
I've
in the
seen it on social media and I know that you do. I thought it was just monthly. That's a
I
lot of work
tried.
for
It's
you.
a lot of work. It's
Yeah.
I've been adding, like in the beginning it was just friends and then I added singles. And then my friend Lisa and I added a women's circle that we do once a month. And that is a lovely, it's a free event and it's like a coaching circle and there's one coming up this Saturday, December 6th. And then
If anybody wants to go to that, how do they?
oh yeah.
Well,
Well,
we'll post this after December 6th. However, I'm
oh,
sure you'll have other
I have
opportunities. So
other.
how do they find it?
Yeah, so there's many ways to find this information. My website is filledcups.com. I'm also on Instagram and TikTok under filled.cups, and I'm on YouTube under Filled Cups altogether. I post, just like any entrepreneur, Sarah, I'm sure you can relate. Like we have to post everywhere, right? We have to be in all the
Yeah.
platforms, kind of. So I'm in all those platforms. We're Filled Cups is everywhere. We we have a few special events coming up in January or end of December and January. But one of the ones I wanted to point out is aside from my normal friend matching events that usually that's like the bread and butter, the foundational event that happens every month, and it's very well received. We have a lot of positive feedback that people have met friends at that event, and that makes me so happy.
So is it like one age group or one gender or is it just
Um,
for everybody?
for friend matching is for everybody, any age group, any gender. What I noticed though is that I tend to have more people sign up in their 20s and 30s. And then we still have some folks in 40s and 50s, but just not as many. And it
But they're
could be,
welcome. So we'll get the
of
word out
course,
because
they're very welcome.
that's
It
my
could
age
just be
group.
the demographic need,
Yeah.
really. Like the filled cups events, they seem to be answering a need of that 20s and 30s demographic
Yeah.
that maybe the folks like I'm in my late 40s and
Yeah.
maybe the folks in my generation aren't feeling that need as much, and it could be a
Maybe.
generational difference too.
Oh man, that's such a great service
Yeah.
because even though you're not in your 20s or 30s, you are still filling the cups of those people that are. So
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
so
fun.
glad that you do that. So
Thank
you said at the end of December,
Oh
beginning of
yeah.
January, your big deals are coming up, and what are they?
Sorry. Yeah, I got sidetracked. But basically, like, I try to come up with special things to do every now and then. And one of the things I'm excited about is we're hosting a vision board party, January 17th.
Awesome.
And that's again open to anyone who's interested. And I'm
And
gonna
so is that like on Eventbrite or the website or
It's now on
Instagram?
Eventbrite and my website, yes. So
Awesome.
that's anyone who likes vision boards and likes to set intentions for the new year. I find I've attended those kinds of things before, and I found that I made friends with the other ladies making vision boards, and this is something that we're offering year for the first time. So very excited.
So yeah, I guess people would bring their own boards and
Oh,
magazines.
actually, so I am planning. We're gonna be with the fees that we collect from the ticket purchases.
Yeah.
We're gonna bring supplies. I've been.
Oh,
You're gonna laugh, Sarah, but I've been stacking up magazines all year.
awesome.
I have a
Oh,
big
okay.
stash of magazines because I've been planning this vision board party. It's been a long game. I've been planning it for almost a year now. So
June
we're
17th.
gonna have magazines, we're gonna have boards, we're gonna have glue and scissors. And then if people want to bring their own images, they're very welcome to. So
That's exciting.
yeah.
I do like a good vision board activity. I think they're
Yeah.
fun. Some people are like, I don't do vision boards, and that's fine, but it helps me to envision
Yeah.
my future, and that's all I'm doing. I'm not necessarily, tapping into some spiritual
Right.
thing. It's just for me, it's just a goal setting. Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah. The
I mean, people can do whatever they want to, but that's just, you know, whatever. That sounds like a lot of fun. I think I've got a vision board also activity with a small group of friends. I feel like it might. Oh, it already passed. I didn't
oh,
make it. I went to the dinner afterwards. So see, I need some help with the vision board. So I
yeah.
might I might actually end up coming to your event on January the 17th. And I like that you're doing it after Christmas too, because there's so much that happens between Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's. It's just jam packed and it can be hard. So um all right. So tell me about your journey from corporate to your calling, which is filled cups. Tell me, what. So did you quit your corporate position or you kept that and then you opened up and slowly started moving into doing this full time? How does that look?
So here's the situation, and Sarah, like I hope you don't mind if I'm super honest with the financial
Yeah, hey,
piece,
absolutely.
especially since I think you're a financial person, and I think entrepreneurship, everybody, there's a tendency on social media for people to be very like pie in the sky. Look how I quit corporate and made all this money and never looked back. And a lot of that, unfortunately, is just not realistic, right? And it's not pragmatic. So I do, one of the things I carry with me from my corporate life is numbers. Like I'm good with numbers. I'm good at forecasting. That was my main role, was demand planning and forecasting for supply chain planning. And that also involves a lot of financial planning. So when I decided to start Filled Cups, I didn't have the intention to quit corporate anytime soon. I was thinking I was going to continue in corporate for maybe another 3 to 4 years and grow Filled Cups to a point where I can reasonably replace my salary. Now, I knew also because I do financial modeling, and I'm like, I know I'm not going to be able to fully replace my salary immediately. This is what it would take. And for Filled Cups, just the nature of that business is events based, it's local. You don't make a lot of money with events.
Right.
You really don't. Like so for me to turn Filled Cups into an income replacing business, it would take expanding to many, many states and turning into some kind of either franchise or licensing business. And I'm not saying that's not gonna happen. It can happen. I'm still trying to do the rinse and repeat with local Charlotte Filled
Yeah.
Cups so
Yeah.
that so that I can establish a model that's sustainable and viable for expansion before that. So, long story short, I didn't quit corporate. However, 1 year later, I was let go or laid off from corporate.
Oh, well, maybe it was divine intervention.
Maybe
Bringing that.
in the in at the end of June of 2024, I was laid off. I'm sorry, 2025, I was laid off. So by that point, I had been working on Filled Cups for about a year, and um, my layoff wasn't horrible. Like I saw it coming. I was one of many. Unfortunately, it was just a bad situation for the company. I knew why it was happening. I know a lot of people when we go through layoffs, uh, it hits people differently, right? Like, I don't know, do you have a lot of friends who go through layoffs or?
A few, and it absolutely can tear their self-concept and their self-esteem apart.
Correct.
But I assume if if there's a merger or,
Something.
acquisition, unfortunately, sometimes they already have those positions filled. And so
Oh yeah.
then you're let go. And so at least you can understand it a little better,
Yeah.
even though it probably still stings a bit. I'm
Oh
so
yeah.
sorry
Like,
you went through that.
oh, thank you. Thank you. And it was my first time. But one of the things, what I'm thankful for with this experience is it helped me redefine work, and it helped me detach my identity as a corporate worker from my personal identity. And I'm like, okay, I can still make lemonades out of lemons here. Like the answer might not be 100% filled cups, but it might be, 20% filled cups and 80% other income streams. And as you as an entrepreneur, I'm sure you understand income streams, right? Like a lot of people who are entrepreneurs they don't just make money off of one business venture, they have three or four business ventures. And that's kind of what I'm building I say since I left corporate, or since I was freed from corporate.
Yes, yes, yes.
Uh,
But you didn't go back and look for a job doing the very same thing in the very same corporate structure. You're doing other things. So
I'm trying, yeah.
that's great. I've heard
I'm
a lot of
trying to
people
bet
say
on myself. Right now, I'm in the phase of betting on myself. And I'm like,
that's
okay, I'm
awesome.
going to continue to grow filled cups. I know where that's going. I already have a real estate business that I own.
Oh,
Like, I own three properties that I manage myself. So there's that. So I have two income streams. And then I started about 2 months after I was laid off. I happened upon an opportunity for a part-time contract job. Sorry about that. Um,
okay.
so I started working part-time contract for a startup as a fractional COO, helping them grow their business. And then what that does is that gives me time freedom to build my next thing. And one of the things I want to build is leadership coaching for companies. Like, I want to draw from my corporate experience as a leader of people and be able to come into companies as a consultant and help them with their leadership challenges or employee engagement challenges and things of that nature. Like, I'm really passionate about that kind of stuff. It a little bit overlaps with the Filled Cups mission, which is about making people connect, making people live their more authentic lives, and but it's not exactly under the same umbrella as Filled Cups. Does that make sense?
That's wonderful though. It's who you are authentically. It is who you are. You can see it in your work and in your life and then your entrepreneurship. So that means there's probably a lot more purpose behind it. That's where your passion is. And
Yeah.
I can definitely see that being a success for you, in other words. Well, so tell me about fighting the loneliness pandemic. We touched on it briefly, but
Yeah.
you said since the pandemic, especially, and
Social
because of all
media.
this technology and social media, are you seeing the young people maybe are having less connection? And gosh, I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, just like we can't generalize, right? Every population has a spectrum of people, right? Like, so
yeah,
there are some young people who are doing just fine,
yeah, yeah.
lots of friends, are very social, have relationships. And then there's a lot of people that have a few relationships, but maybe their relationships aren't as deep as they would like them to be, or they're like loose connections. And I'll examples of this is like if somebody is in their 20s or 30s and they just moved to another city for a job. And here in Charlotte is very full of transient workers, people who come to work in the banking industry from other states. And they usually don't have kids. A lot of them don't have partners. They're here alone. And their first social outlet is really work. And because of people working from home, I feel like a lot of that camaraderie that people used to have at work, where you would go for a beer after work, or you would hang out with friends at a happy hour after work. A lot of that's gone, or just not happening as much, you know. Although, let's be honest, if we go on to South End in Charlotte at 5 p.m. on a Thursday, like there's a lot of people out there having
Yeah.
beers with friends. So it's
Yeah.
not like a 0 or 100 truth.
Sure.
I think it's more of a like a segment of the population. And
Yeah.
so what I find is I go on Reddit a lot, Charlotte Reddit, and I also go on Facebook groups related to just being in Charlotte or social activities. And I find a lot of people posting things like, why is it so hard to make friends in Charlotte? Why is it so hard to make friends as an adult? Just this morning I saw a post on Facebook that said, I'm 43 and I still don't have a best friend. Like, can anybody teach me how to make a best friend? And on Reddit, every week there's at least three people talking about how they are isolated, they're lonely, and they need more friends, or they how do they meet people? So there's definitely a phenomenon there happening. Social media, let's talk about it real quick.
Yeah.
It's a blessing and a curse, right? Like we can be behind our little screens scrolling, and Instagram is built to be addictive, and so is Facebook, right? So and I'm guessing TikTok too. all, like they're all addictive. They're all built, their algorithms are built to keep us hooked, to keep our eyes on there so that advertisers can sell stuff to us, right? And if somebody spends a lot of time on social media, it's time that they are not spending texting their friends, calling their friends, setting up coffee dates with their friends, or even like asking somebody to come over, you know, like how Sarah, you said you like hosting, right? I love
Yeah.
hosting. I have a large circle of friends. Okay, some of them are close, some of them are not so close. There's quite a bit of them whose homes I was never invited to. And I've invited, and I'm not saying that I want to be invited to everybody's home.
Yeah.
I
You will
invite
get a ton of invitations.
I love having parties, and I have at least 3 or 4 parties a year, and my big one is New Year's Eve. By the way,
Oh,
it's coming.
fun.
But like I find it odd. I'm like I don't care if people's homes are messy or dirty. Like I don't care about that. I just care that people are letting me into their homes. It's like an intimate thing. You
Yeah.
know, you spend more downtime together. You're not being rushed by a waiter asking for the bill, or you're not you're not like for meeting somebody for 45 minutes and going off on your own. If you're hanging out at home, you're probably spending like 3 to 4 hours with that person, you know. And I wonder how many people are actually having friends over anymore. Uh,
Good thought. I honestly not very often myself, and I think it has possibly changed since technology has taken over. Honestly, I think you're right. The pandemic really made technology front and center of so many of our lives. I think if I have to look at my calendar that's always jam packed, if I have to get rid of one thing, it's going to be the one maybe friend date where it doesn't have anything to do with work. It's not a money making activity. It's not responsibility for my family. Instead, it's just something I think of. I hate to say it, but it's like I can get rid of that one thing because I need to rest more or whatever. But maybe I need to prioritize that. It sounds like that is important. Maybe not only for me, but for the other person that maybe I'm canceling with or rescheduling with. So
I mean, you look who you're talking to. If you're gonna ask me, I'm gonna say, Sarah, keep
yes.
your friend dates.
That's true. And then I have so many coaches that say you really need to scale down your calendar a bit. You're overly booked. And
Yeah.
anyway, I'm like you though. I do not typically cancel friend dates, unless there's something for a child of mine that that would take a priority over it. But I have canceled lunch with a friend. She comes into town on occasion on a Saturday to get her hair done. I've had to cancel before because I had to go, do something work related. And I definitely think she felt that because I think I've done it more than once.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good to kind of look at your life and say, are you doing these things? Your patterns of behavior, are you putting your friends last? And maybe you should start putting them first. Because
There's
then when, go
Yeah,
ahead, sorry.
sorry to interrupt, but a lot of coaches or life coaches will have some kind of wheel of life, or
Mhm.
some kind of where you have your social life, your financial life, your health, physical health, your mental health, and in some cases spiritual health, like if that's something that it's important to you. And they ask you to kind of measure yourself in all of those realms. And a lot of times we are over prioritizing work over everything else. A lot of times, especially Americans, we are a hardworking people, and it's all about hustle culture here. So it's like work tops everything else. But I just want to put something out there. The other day I found a book, and it's called, and the book, I don't really recommend reading the book, but just listen to the title. The title of the book is Work Won't Love You Back.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know work is important. We all have to pay the bills. We all want to save for our families and our retirement and whatnot, but we can't let it take over our entire lives. We just can't. We we should, especially as we get older, physical health is super important, mental health is super important, and social health is important because in the end, like after you retire, or if you get like older and you get some kind of sickness, who are you going to call for support? And you might have, maybe some people are lucky, they'll have kids that they can lean on for support. Some people don't have kids. Who are they going to lean on for support? So that's why I want people to build, like in my Fernanda La La Land of like ideal world, everyone is actively working on building themselves a little community, and they're contributing to that little community, and they're nurturing it, helping their friends, and hanging out with their, it's not just transactional about helping each other out, but hanging out, having a fun time, laughing, giving each other love, and that's what makes life worth living, is having love in your life, like whether it comes as a friend or as a spouse. Some people don't have partners or spouses, so.
It's important. It's so important. I'm seeing that more and more as we talk. I really believe, yeah, you're onto something here. So, as far as unlearning and growth, so
Yes,
I have struggled with people pleasing in my life.
me
I
too.
also know that it's a problem, and so I have worked diligently to end people pleasing. But
Yeah.
I've heard, if you it could be my go-to, so unfortunately I have to pause and then not be a people pleaser, but sometimes I'll fall back into it. So when we're unlearning people pleasing and codependency and fear, I think you stated before we started recording, I believe authenticity is important, and that's where the basis of relationships, right? That's the foundation of the building blocks of relationships. So I hope when you have your filled cups, 3 events a month. Is that what you said?
Well, yeah, on average, like sometimes it's 2 events, sometimes it's 4 events. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah. So these are all ways and times that people can practice letting go of that people pleasing and, fear. Oh my gosh. So many people are so fearful to come to events, aren't they?
yeah, yeah. So, so,
What
so
would you
let's
say to
talk.
them?
So we can talk I would love to get into people pleasing and codependency, and I can share a lot of resources there because that's also something I struggle with. But one of the things about the filled cups events, they're a good way for people who have social anxiety to have exposure to social activities in like a safe environment. And if you talk to any therapist, and I'm not a therapist, but actually I'm thinking of going back to school to become a therapist.
Oh, you'd be good at
Love
it.
these topics. So like if you look at my library list of books I've read in the last 2 years, 90% of them are going to be about psychological topics, people pleasing, codependency, connection, listening, validation, boundaries. I've read at least 5 books on boundaries, and they're
Wow.
all,
Give us, do you have any of the names? I'm going to open the door for
yes.
my dog because I'm afraid he's going to be loud. So,
Okay,
but go ahead. Tell us the names of a couple of
sure.
books or that we could
Sure.
find.
Yeah, so the books I've read that I really recommend about people pleasing, boundaries, and codependency, um, one of them is called Too Much, and it's by Terry Cole. It's called Too Much, Breaking the Cycle of High Functioning Codependency. Highly recommend that book. And she also wrote another book called Boundary Boss, where she talks about breaking the patterns of people pleasing. Excellent book. And then there's also a book called oh my gosh, now I'm blanking, but those are the two good ones.
Those are good ones. Yeah.
There's a lot of others that I can come up with if I look at my list, but those are, I would say, if you're gonna start somewhere, those are great. But yeah, so we're talking about two different things. One is exposure for people who may have social anxiety, and then the people pleasing and codependency piece. The events are a good way for people to train themselves, and therapists will tell you that if you have social anxiety, one of the ways to overcome that is to kind of put yourself into situations where you're exposed to your fear in like small bites, and then you reaffirm yourself. Okay, I went, it wasn't so bad, I didn't die,
Yes.
nobody killed me, nobody bit me.
Yeah.
I just went and met some people, it was no big deal, I had a laugh, whatever. Now you can go again. You're essentially, you're teaching yourself that it's safe to do those social activities. So the Filled Cups events are one offering, and they're not the only offering. I always tell people, go on meetups or Facebook groups. Everyone's hosting social events.
Yes.
And for me, it's not about competition or taking over the market or anything. It's more, I'm just offering another offering. And then there's other people out there offering other offerings. For example, Meetup has a group called To Get Gaming Together. I think I forgot their name, but basically they meet twice a week to play board games. And I
That's
think it's
cool.
wonderful, and people who like board games are making friends in
Oh,
those meetups. So I think I'm a big fan. I'm a big supporter. And and I think I have that on my website. I have a page on my website called referrals, or yeah, Charlotte local referrals. And I think I have that group referred in there among others. Um, but the thing about, if we don't mind, Sarah, if we talk real quick about the codependency and
yeah.
people pleasing, that
Please.
isn't as much to do with filled cups. It is the part of filled cups that talks about personal growth, where how can you live a more fulfilled life? I found that for myself and a lot of my girlfriends, especially women, well, unfortunately, I think we are indoctrinated when we're growing up to be good girls, right? Like, be quiet, don't say no. If somebody hugs you, hug them back. All of those messages that we get to be good girls. And I kind of understand where the messages are coming from, because the parents want the girls to be well behaved. But what ends up happening is that we internalize those messages into becoming people pleasers. And and that's a major, major thing for a lot of women. A lot of times we're uncomfortable saying no. We do things for others, hoping for the outcome of them loving us back, and then we feel like that if we don't do those things for others, then they won't love us back. And so that can be kind of problematic, and it's something I had to learn. I'm, by the way, not recovered yet. I'm still struggling with it, but it's something I'm trying to unlearn by reading those books, by journaling, talking to my friends. I have a few friends who are therapists, so that's always nice.
Yeah, I bet.
And of course, I've gone to therapy myself quite a bit. I'm a big
Yes.
believer in therapy.
Me too. Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, and so like I've been working on myself the past couple of years to overcome this need to be liked and this need to please others. And then the word codependency, where does that come in? A lot of people don't understand what that word means, and I also didn't until I read a bunch of books about it. But when you're codependent, it means you're trying to control the outcome of the other person. And so, for a lot of times, the word codependency came into play with when somebody in your family has an addiction, for example. But it doesn't only exist in families that have addiction. It exists in a lot of families. So, for example, my older kids, I have older kids, right? They're college age, and I'm pretty sure I was a codependent mom with them, like doing things for them, um, a lot of times trying to solve their problems for them. And then what ended up happening is I stunted their growth. My poor kids, they're slow to launch, and I think I take a lot of that responsibility because I think I caused that with my codependent behavior. And that is
Mhm.
linked to people pleasing. Codependency and people pleasing, they kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So I do talk a lot about that in my Filled Cups blog. And
Oh, you have a blog. It's
yeah,
on your website.
I have a blog on the website. And also this
Wonderful.
in September, I think it was September, I started a podcast
Oh, yay.
under the Filled Cups umbrella, and it's called
Mm.
Connectedness. And so
Connectedness.
my ambition is to have people come on my podcast to talk about these topics, whether it be relationships, friendships, dating, or a relationship with yourself, like people pleasing and codependency, because that's really learning how to love yourself, so that you don't have to feel like you have to be the nice girl for everybody else. Does that make sense?
Awesome. Yeah, a lot of what you said hits home. I think we're about the same age. I'm in my late 40s too, and so I wonder if some of that is generational. It's our age and how we were raised. Yeah, and I also wanted to say, backing up to when we were talking about connection and the value of it and the value on our mental health, that connection plays a huge part in all of that. I sadly have seen on Facebook recently a number of young people in their late teens. Their families are grieving that that they have
In their lives.
taken their lives. Yes. And I thought, this is not right. But everything I read says, the families really didn't know. It's not like these children were suffering with deep depression that they had any idea about. But a lot of it with, I didn't feel connected. And I was having, panic attacks, and I didn't have anybody to talk to. So it is so important. It is so important. It really is. I really think what you're doing is phenomenal, and keep
Thank
it up.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that breaks my heart. And the one of the things I we didn't talk about now is we talked about social media, but we didn't talk about AI, right? And something that's extremely bothersome, and I've been literally worried about this is I read an article, or I actually listened to a podcast the other day about how some people, especially younger people, are starting to use AI as a substitute, not just a substitute therapist, but a substitute relationship. So the AI will become their friend, or maybe AI will become their romantic partner, I guess. And
Really?
yeah, not everybody, but there have been cases that have been reported about this, and a few have led to youth suicide, unfortunately. And it was this weird relationship with the AI and you know how we all use AI for business, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
and you know how every time we do something with ChatGPT or Claude, it will kind of give us a little reaffirming thing at the beginning.
yes,
We like, great idea, Fernanda.
yes. I love that when it does that.
So
Yeah.
it does that, but and of course it feels good, right?
Hmm.
But we gotta I worry because that can probably get somebody addicted to
Hmm.
that feedback loop, you know? So that's something for the future to think about is um, right now AI isn't being regulated in any way, and it's growing faster than any of us can even imagine, and it's taking the space of a real human connection for some people. And so that's sorry, I mean, I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, and I'm
No,
not saying
no, this is true though. This is a very current event. It's happening right now.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not anti-AI by any means. I use it as a tool, but
yeah,
I really think it's dangerous with the when it comes to people's emotional health.
yeah.
Um, we don't want our kids or our friends' kids or anybody's kids to be going to AI as their only source of connection because the AI is going to say great idea to whatever they say. So that can be really dangerous, you know.
It's good. It's good to know. More reason to come to filled cups.
Yeah, come meet real people.
Yes, yes. So most of the events are for adults, I would say though, right?
Yeah, well, yeah,
Okay.
I have not done any for teens yet, but maybe in the
Okay.
future that's something I can expand to. We
Nice.
one thing is like I need to figure out how to scale this thing so that it's not just me being the bottleneck for everything, you know.
Yeah.
It's
It's a lot of work, I'm
a lot
sure.
of work, yeah.
Well, briefly, I've taken so much of your time, but I appreciate it because this is really good stuff. Self-care. So you talk about self-care and how it's so important for our mental health. Just expand on that a little bit, like it's
Right.
more than just a bubble bath, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a book I read on this. It's called The Real Self-Care.
Okay.
I forgot the name of the author, but I can find it later and send it to you, Sarah, if you want. But it essentially, she was on a podcast, and I read her book. The point she's making is self-care is not just bubble baths. It's not just going and get a mani-pedi. It's the real kind of self-care that you can give yourself is more like mental self-care, taking mindfulness breaks, like maybe going for a walk if you have 5 minutes, taking some deep breaths, the journaling. And if you are having some kind of emotional upheaval, like finding a way to feel your feelings for real. And maybe I'm a big believer in journaling, so that's my method. But some people like talking to their friends or talking to their therapists. And, you know, and again, I would love to, I go to my therapist when I'm having an emotional issue. Um, but the journaling is extremely helpful. And then, you know, having boundaries and figuring out why you're having these issues, having that kind of introspection, because a lot of times maybe you're having these issues because you're people pleasing too much and you don't have boundaries and you need to take care of yourself first. Or like they say, and not to use my filled cups analogy, but you have to fill your cup first so that you can fill other people's cups. Yeah.
And on a regular basis because it gets empty. Don't forget that, right?
Yes,
What
yes,
about how human behavior improves leadership and life satisfaction? Well, I guess with boundaries, that would definitely improve your ability to lead and
yes.
your satisfaction in life, right? So
Yeah.
what other thoughts do you have on that?
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely. And this is more from the corporate world. I was in 23 years there. The last 15 of those years, I led people. And I noticed over the time of my leadership career that the leaders who were more effective and better leaders in general were the more empathetic leaders, the leaders who understood people, who saw the employee as a whole person rather than just like a number generating machine or a product generating machine. And so having people skills as a leader is so important. And you would be surprised, Sarah, by how many managers and directors and leaders in companies don't have people skills.
That's mind-boggling.
It's terrible. What happens is a lot of them are promoted to those leadership positions because they're good at whatever they're doing. But then they
Yeah.
get promoted and they don't get any training. They don't
Right.
get leadership training, for example. They don't get enough leadership training,
Yeah.
or they don't get the right kind of leadership training. So then
Mm.
I've mentored a lot of people, a lot of my mentees. The main issue that they would come to me with was something related to having a mediocre or a bad manager. And so many, I know misery loves company, right? Like I would find myself going like, oh my gosh, like she's suffering from a case of a bad manager
Yeah.
again. Because I've mentored a lot of people, men and women, and I've seen the side of when the manager is great and when a manager is just not good, and what the impact is on that person, on that employee, and ultimately on the company's performance. I mean, let's be honest, right? If you have a company full of bad managers and all the people are unhappy, you're not going to have productivity for the money that you're paying those people. So the human behavior, um, understanding human behavior, trying to get better at those people skills can make a huge difference in company performance and employee happiness and general satisfaction for everybody.
Yeah. I was speaking with someone earlier today about emotional intelligence, and this ties right into that as well. So the
Yeah,
more emotionally intelligent a person is, the better leadership skills there are. And you can
absolutely.
emotional intelligence is just understanding human behavior.
Yeah,
And yeah, like you said, it's
self-awareness, social
self-awareness.
awareness,
Yeah.
empathy. Yep,
And how
definitely.
closely that is impacted by relational connections
Yeah,
with like filled cups outside of work too, but it does actually overlap. It
it does.
connects. It really does. And then I love this last point. It's about the power of hosting.
Yes.
And you said that bringing people together can heal isolation and build true belonging. And I agree because I wasn't the person who waited around for someone to invite me. I just had the party at my house, and I still do that. I was just like,
Yeah.
"Hey, let's just have dinner. Everybody come on over. Bring something or I'll cook or whatever. But I think you're like that. I think you take
Yeah.
initiative.
Did you notice, Sarah, that when you started doing that, that it started a chain reaction?
I
That
think
like
so.
you
I
had
think
you
so.
host dinner, and then somebody else is gonna be like, okay, I'm hosting dinner, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden it becomes like a regular thing at everybody else's. Like it's amazing. I love it. I love the power of the chain reaction that starts when somebody decides to take the initiative to host other
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
So, and then people that want to come to your groups, and I keep thinking about this because any event that I've ever had, there's always one person there who says, I wasn't going to come. I was terrified. I didn't come to the
Mm,
last one and I wasn't, but then they come and they're like, it wasn't so bad. Like you said, I didn't die. It was actually pretty cool. I made some friends and they'll come to the next event, but it takes the initiative of getting themselves to go,
yeah.
right? If you don't have a party at your house, you don't have to do that. If you're not made like me, where I'm just always ready to have a party at my house, but go take the initiative and go to a filled cups event or
Yeah.
go to her website because she has a page of other referrals as well. If you can't make one of her events, you can go one of the other ones, but just try it and just do it because it'll start a chain reaction and create a community for you. I just
Definitely.
love this. I love your mission. I love what you're doing here. You really are changing people's lives. I really think
Oh,
you are. Keep it up. I really think it's an amazing mission and I think you're going to be very successful. So I can't wait to see where this goes for you in the future. I would love to. Okay, so I will include all of your contact information in the summary below on YouTube and Spotify and then on social media. I am toying. I need to take the initiative. I'm toying with also posting on LinkedIn just one
oh,
time for the podcast because I have one about every week. So I think this would be a good one for
yeah.
the LinkedIn. So anyway, I'll get all of your contact information. If you want to get in touch with Fernanda, I just see it on Instagram all the time. I'm on
Yeah.
Instagram more than anything else. So she's really good at posting. She's really good at social media and she's pretty consistent. So you'll be able to see where she is and what events are coming up. And maybe I will see you guys at her next event. I might be at that vision board on January the 19th, and I believe this will be out before then. So I will include a link. Do you have the Eventbrite, or when you have
Yes,
it, will you
I
send it
can.
to me, and I'll be sure to add it to that.
Yeah, I'll send
All
you a
right.
bunch
Thank
of.
you so much, Fernanda. Is there anything you want for the folks to take away before we leave for the day?
I would say since we're in December and you say that this is gonna air before is sometime in January or when
Early
you
January, I believe.
okay.
Yes.
So happy New Year, everyone. It's time to set your intentions for the new year, and I hope part of your intentions is to grow your social lives or enrich your social lives.
Yes. Thank you, Fernanda. Until next
Thank
time,
you.
everyone. See you later.
Everybody.
Bye.
Have a
Thank
good
you,
one. Thank you.
Fernanda. It's awesome.